In 2020, COVID-19 hit us really hard, especially being in public school. We were faced with online instruction, and being in the 8th grade at the time, it was hard from being in middle school every day, being able to ask my teachers for help in person, to having to go online and go on a Google Meet every day, or not so much every day, having tests online besides on paper, and having to learn math especially was very hard. When in my freshman year in high school, everyone returned to school and like in face-to-face instruction, and I joined them. However, a lot of people did not. This graph right here shows a prediction from 1999. It shows that there were barely any. It was under 2% of students, and it climbs up in 2023, ages 5 through 7, to about 2.3%. And in 2007, it kind of skyrockets more to 3% of ages 5 through 17 in our country. In 2012, it's about 3.5% of students in our country. In 2016, it goes down a little bit to about 3.4, 3.3%. And in 22, it skyrockets to 4%. So from the years 1999 and 2020, it's gone from about 1.8% of students to 4%, which is incredible because a lot of students going through quarantine realized that they liked out-of-sight instruction better than they liked being at school. Homeschooled students do have the ability to balance their priorities because they work at their own pace. They have the time to be able to sit at home and get their priorities straight. They have however many classes, it depends on each program that they're in. Students have their time where they can have school, but they can also commit to church, work, sports, friends, family. It's crazy because the pace that public schools have is required for them, and they have a certain pace that they have to work at. However, homeschooled students can work faster or slower at their pace. They just have a deadline near the end of the year that is more than high schoolers in person have. I do believe that it is better because they get to spend more time with their family and friends. I mean, I am an public school student, and I take college classes, I take school classes. I'm at school probably 4.5 hours a day. I get a break in between my day. So instead of spending 7 hours at school, I spend a little chunk of that, and I have more time for, classes and getting homework done. But some people spend 7 hours a day. They also have games or extracurriculars at night, or they have work, and they have barely enough time to commit to homework or anything like that going on. Nearly 20% of students report serious thoughts of suicide, and 9% have attempted to take their lives, according to the National Alliance on Mental Illness. So 20% out of 100 of high school students report serious thoughts of suicide a year. These are public students, and public school students can go through bullying and taunting, and they can also go through school shootings. There has been 131 mass shootings in our country so far this year. There have been many students that have passed away, and many students are scared to go to school every day in a public setting because it could be their last. And usually police officers hug their wives every day because it could be their last, and it's a dangerous job. But teachers are hugging their husbands because they realize that it could be their last day as well, because teaching at this rate in our world is as dangerous as being a police officer. You can be killed teaching in a classroom setting, and it's very scary. But homeschooled students have the ability to stay at home. They can commit to their classes, finish all of their academic work. They can commit to activities in their afternoon in a home setting, a safe home setting. They can have a tutor, they can have a nanny, they can have someone helping them with school, or they can do it on their own. I believe high school students, if they're homeschooled, they usually work on their own. And some elementary homeschooled students have teachers that their parents hire. So, learning at home gives these students a safer environment, away from taunting and school shootings. Homeschooling gives students the ability to not only work, or they can learn at their own pace. So they do have their own pace a year, and they get to commit to their schoolwork each day. So they could finish their schoolwork up in the morning, and then they'd have the whole afternoon to do things. So if they had a ball game that night, they could finish their homework, eat lunch, go do whatever, and go to a ball game. Or if they have practices in the mornings, some celebrities actually do homeschool and off-site school because they're so busy. Like young actresses and actors, they do homeschool on their own time, but they get to set early in the mornings, and they use their afternoons for homeschool, or they use their weekends or their days off. And you could have practices in the mornings, and you could do all of your homework while you're sitting at lunch, or you could do it in the afternoon and still have all of this free time to spend with family. You could work all day, do work like homework at night, and so the home educated typically score 15 to 25 percentile points above public school students on standardized academic achievement tests. So they do better, most likely. Homeschooled students actually do better on test scores than public school students, and if they have less time to do these things, it's harder for them to get better points, especially with public school students. So we have to think about this, especially since they don't have to stress about deadlines as much. And my generation, we have so many deadlines, especially being high schoolers. It's hard to commit to schoolwork and all these extracurriculars when you could easily be studying and spending your free time as a homeschooled student. Being in my generation, we will be parents in 20 to 10 years, and I believe that we should consider how we're going to educate our kids. So with this, in closing, I believe that homeschooling would be better for students than public school.